friends, let's take a look at Ethereum together. And as I'm just tuning in right now, I can see that we've just moved outside of this parallel channel here. I'll have to try and change that around or go up to the 4-hour time frame and see how it's fitting in around it. Maybe I've got it positioned kind of badly. I don't think I actually have it positioned very well at all, actually, now looking at it. But hey, that's great. Let's take a look at Ethereum. The reason why this is going outside of areas that we're looking at is obviously due to this this ridiculous upward move that we've had over the weekend up till now. And it finds us with the price currently in a $325 area. If we actually just contrast this with Ethereum to Bitcoin, you can see that the two of them moved up, more or less around about the same sort of time. But Ethereum moved first. Then it's lost some of its luster against Bitcoin, while Bitcoin's gone up to the 10,400 area on that FOMO coaster. And Ethereum's values dropped a little bit in relation to Bitcoin since that started happening, as this is stuck in around that 325 area for us. So where do we see the prices? And we're just in at this kind of inflection point in and around this zone at the start of what we could have considered our downward sloping broadening wedge, descending, whatever, from June 2019. So we've come a long way. We've come a long way in a short period of time, putting us well above all of the moving averages and everything else on these time frames. So you're not going to learn too much looking at these. We do have the golden cross conditions and stuff. I guess this is way too much of a mess. I thought I'd cleaned this up as well. Evidently not enough. Yeah, this is set to a really low one at the minute. Just change this up to 50. And you can see, of course, we had the golden cross back ages ago over here. And then we've subsequently retested the 50 moving average plenty of times. And then we've somehow managed to avoid going down to retest the 200 and moved up above all of these previous areas where we were looking at in terms of being resistance. And we're currently finding ourselves up really, really quite high. So how does that pan out in terms of like compared to our previous highs? And this is quite a ways back in terms of the time frames to be looking at and, making the comparison on these oscillators down below. But you could make the case certainly for this coming in as being bearishly divergent currently compared to this high over here, but which is not too much of a surprise. Really, to see some bearish divergence or whatever at the tops of these things. But it could, if the prices start to fall towards the downside, then people could feel that there's maybe a degree of over exuberance really on the run up to this. Now, but just drawing the comparison in between this high here on the 26th of June 2019 compared to the high that we had on the 30th of May 2019 with what we've got recently, is that these were actually bearishly divergent coming right into those where the top is. And if we look at this versus its last highs, it's not the same. You couldn't make the same argument. You'd have to go back as far as February compared to July to get that comparison, whereas this is just looking back, relatively looking back a month in terms of that. So maybe it would be better just to kind of make a comparison here on the weekly time frame instead, since we know that this is going back, like I say, towards February, but at least we're looking back on a bigger scale time frame at this thing and saying, well, how's this turning out to be divergent? And looking between these two, then it very much could be if we see kind of this drop tailing off from now over the period of the next week. So I am interested to see how the price action turns out over the period of the next week to see if we can push past this zone that we've got here in terms of the three oscillators down below. If you're interested in these, by the way, then you can get in touch with me. I can maybe share them with you because they're my own customized ones, but they're just standard. There's nothing special. There's no magic going on there. I've just kind of customized it, changed it to have an EMA instead of an SMA on the stochastic, color coded them a bit better, put the zones in where I want to have the zones, changed them to from before. I've moved this area up a little bit in contrast to previous episodes so that we know where the bullish or the bearish zone really starts when we're looking at these cryptocurrencies. When it's dipping into this here and stuff like that, and we know what's happening, it's better to have it there than it is just below, I think, overall. Anyway, so yeah, this here starts off over there. Where's it go down to? We've obviously gone past this Fibonacci here. It's easier to just draw in again. Let's just draw in from where we've come from over there on the 13th. to where we are just now in terms of the big broad term time frames to get a bigger, broader picture of perspective. Just bearing in mind, by the way, that the trend is your friend until the end of the trend. There's the potential for us to be looking at some sort of divergence there. I'll go down to the small time frames and we'll see. I'm sure there's some divergence there on the small time frames like you'd expect, and then on the 12-hour time frame, there's the potential for it as well. It's obviously very difficult to see if you're looking at a phone, but you can just take my word for it, I suppose. There's some on the DMI potentially if we see the prices drop from there. RSI is looking kind of okay, but very much overbought, very, very, very high, looking at where we've had peaks in the price action in the past, but we could obviously come up higher, but it's very, very high. So I just want to see how things pan out. This is still within the structure of this on the terms of the 12-hour time frame, this parallel channel, by the way, which looked so bad on, what did we start off on? The 1 hour. So anyway, if we drop back into that on the 1 hour, then that would be interesting, I think. In the 12, what about the 24 hour? Does not show up on the 24 hour. It doesn't show up on the 24 hour. Right, sound. Great. Yes. Anyway, okay. So, going up to back onto the weekly. So I suppose on the weekly we can talk about the VPVR. I suppose if I bring on enough price action here, you can see that there's obviously going to be this drop off. We've come up towards the areas where there really hasn't been any trading. This is just what I wanted to point out. There really wasn't any trading on BitMEX on this pairing in at these heights that we've had. So in terms of the liquidity here, going past this area is quite clear as well to be a big, the potential to push on past the higher prices comes in then at these points, So if you were to be shorting it, I'm not a financial advisor, if you were to be shorting it, then you'd be finding it kind of fairly easy, in fact, to manage your risk in around these areas. Like you could at least say, well, I'm taking a shot at it, and if it goes up past these areas and it's coming in without the divergence, then cool, you could just ditch your short and go long instead. If you're right here at this position, if you'd already got in down below and you were thinking, should I take profits here? Then yeah, you could, Because, pardon me, this is clearly an area where plenty of people will be taking profits. And then if it shoots on up past this, then you could, of course, trade in, get in a new position to take on the move up to like the next zone, which is kind of like the pre-BitMEX price action. So I'm going to have to add on USD Coinbase or something where it's been traded for longer, right? Right? Have I got too many of them saved now or something? No, there it is. Right, great. So then we're looking into this. Yes, great, fantastic. So you can see quite clearly that this is such a crucial area for the price, and that then you could move beyond, and that the VPVR kicks back in again, back up there at towards the $500 area, 480, 450. I'd say 450 to 500 would be your zone to be looking up to next if you were to push past this area. So I'm going to have to keep this on the charts now to be able to do this job for us. And that's what I'd be looking to beyond it. But there are definitely areas where we could be coming down from first. We could definitely, just check in here with this and say that you could easily come back down to 277 to revisit that. We could come back down to where the 21 EMA is at any given time. Right now, it's at 250. You can see the VPVR, staggers down the way. So anytime you do go past these little inflection zones, it just pops you right down to the next level almost. If we go to the 24-hour time frame, that could be a little bit clearer for us. If we drop down, we could just go pop down to the 273 area. And that's looking at, in terms of trading, it's ridiculous, like looking at these sorts of moves, like 20%, So there's highly tradable events all around these areas. I would just kind of caution people a little bit about the particular zone that we're in right now with regards to the prices right now. Because of the sort of the clear divergence that we have here as the prices go up there. And we've got this clear divergence here, and we've got divergence here as well, and we've got divergence on this guy as well. So cool, nice one. Thanks for tuning in. Really do appreciate it. Join the Discord, leave comments, all that good stuff. All that stuff. I appreciate all of it. So yeah, cool. That'll do for this one. I'm sure you've got some value to take away from it, especially since we're getting into these areas where the price action becomes a little bit more complicated to look at. And you might well benefit from having at least had an idea about how you could be looking at managing your risk in terms of movements, beyond either of these sort of little areas that we're at the minute, in terms of around, say the 330s areas where we've come up to the top and down towards those lows at the 311, which really is in terms of the lower time frames as well, the areas to be looking at. Look here, this is your 311 sort of area here and around this VPVR nodes, and then the 30s up towards the whatever. Great, cool. Thanks for tuning in. Really do appreciate it. I'll catch you in the next episode. Join the Discord link Discord, all that description, link description, Discord. Cool. See ya.